We're going to be making sloppy joes today. What I'm going to do is demonstrate the sloppy joe recipe. And actually, would you get me the vegetable crumbles out of there? There's a bag of open ones. I'm actually going to be making the sloppy joe mixture from, yes, perfect, thank you. So guys, this is, I just put the spoon in there and it got buried. Okay, so what we're going to do, it says to put a little bit of salt in the skillet just to keep the meat from sticking. So we're going to put the vegetable crumbles, and I'm going to talk to you about the vegetable crumbles in just a minute. So we're going to put about a half a pound of the vegetable crumbles. But I'm going to tell you about what you guys are going to do. I'm going to be making the vegetable crumbles because we've got somebody that's a vegetarian and doesn't eat meat. And do you guys know, I've done quite a bit of research on this, there's a doctor that has done a lot of research, and too much meat can be really harmful to your health. It's not, because if you eat too much, get too much meat fat, it can clog your arteries, and it's not really healthy for you. And if you do eat meat, you want to make sure you take the fat off of it. So I'm going to show you guys what I bought. I bought what you're going to be having in your kitchen when you make this. You're going to be having a half a pound of meat, a half a pound of red meat. It's ground beef. It's 93% lean and 7% fat. So it doesn't have a lot of fat in it. That's why I buy, when I go to the store, I try to get the lower fat meat so that you don't have a lot of fat cooking off. If you do have the fat cooking off, you need to either sop it up with a paper towel or run it through a strainer so that you're running all the fat off of it and not eating a lot of that meat fat. So, like I said, we're going to be making ours with vegetable. The demo I'm making with vegetable. You guys are going to chop your meat up and brown it so that it looks like this before you put any of the tomato sauce in it. Okay, so I'm going to add just a little bit more here, and you'll be chopping it until it looks like this, till it's nice and brown. Okay? All right. So we're going to just cook it till it's nice and brown. So I'm going to turn the heat on here. So you guys, you can just pretend this is still pink. Because when you do yours, it's going to be pink. When you put it in here, it'll be a big chunk. So you chop it up until it's nice and this kind of consistency. So it's like this until it's nice and brown. Okay? And it looks like this. Doesn't that look like browned hamburger meat?
Yeah.
But what it is, guys, it's vegetable protein. It has no meat in it at all. It's textured vegetable protein, which is soy protein concentrate. So it's made with a lot of soy, and it has other seasonings and things in it, but it has no meat. So people that are vegan, have you heard of vegan?
Yeah. My sister's vegan. My aunt's vegan.
Yeah, there are people that are vegan, and there are people that are vegetarian. Do you know the difference?
Yeah.
What's the difference, Brooke?
Vegans don't eat anything that involves animals.
No animal products whatsoever. Right, they eat no animal products. That means no egg, no dairy, nothing that comes from animals. Okay? Vegetarians, you can tell us about vegetarians, Delaney.
Well, vegetarians, there are different levels of vegetarians, but, my family, we're really strict, we can't eat gummy or marshmallow, you can't have any meat whatsoever, or else you get really sick and you start vomiting. It's not fun. But, because, in marshmallows and gummies and stuff, there's gelatin, and gelatin is basically just bone marrow. I have a massive fact.
Oh, yeah.
And there's some people who still eat fish or chicken, but we don't really count that as vegetarian because you're still eating something that you have to kill. And so
in the habit of
Yeah,
doing
it's
that. It's
really
just, that's
easy.
just the way it is.
It's really
But basically, vegetarians eat vegetables and no meat, basically. But vegans don't eat eggs or dairy or anything that comes from animals even. So, all right. So guys, what you're going to do, you're going to take your meat, you're going to chop it up like I said, and then you'll start adding the seasoning, just like I'm going to do now. So once your meat is brown, we're going to put some onion in with it. It says to brown it with some onion in. So we're going to put a teaspoon and a half. If you look at your recipe, it calls for a teaspoon and a half of chopped onion. Guys, this is dried chopped onion, minced or chopped onion, and we'll just use that. You could do it, if you do it at home and you don't have this, you could just use regular onion. It'll do the same thing. Okay? So once your meat's all brown, keep browning it and keep cooking until it's all totally brown. And then we're going to, in a custard cup, we're going to put the other ingredients. It calls for chili powder. We're going to add the garlic powder, the chili powder, the Worcestershire, and the brown sugar all at once. So if you're the assistant cook, you're going to go to the back and get supplies. Put all of those things that go in together. You can just put it in the custard cup together. So it calls for 1/8 of a teaspoon of garlic powder, which 1/8 is half of a quarter, right? So we're just going to fill this half full. So about 1/8 of a teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder, 3/4 teaspoon, so that's a 1/4 plus a half of Worcestershire sauce, a 1/4 plus a half, and then 1.5 teaspoons of brown sugar. And for the brown sugar, could you put the lid back on that for me? And just set it back over here, please. Okay, so for the brown sugar, remember brown sugar is one of those things that we always pack. So make sure that you can just pack it right on the side of the container. So pack it. There's our 1/2 teaspoon. No, that was our teaspoon. Oh no, I used the wrong one, guys. Make sure you don't do the same thing I did. That was a 1/2 instead of a teaspoon. So we're going to put another 1/2. And then we'll put a 1/3 1/2. Calls for 1.5. So 3/2 equals 1.5, right? That's what we're doing this time. Because I used the wrong one. It's sticking in there. Okay. 1.5 teaspoons. Then we're going to put all of that, use the rubber spatula, and scrape it right into your pan. So guys, you want to use your rubber spatula so you don't leave a lot of your seasoning in the custard cup. Okay. Now we're going to stir that all together and cook it for just a few minutes. And then we're going to start adding the other things. Okay. It calls for 1/2 cup of tomato sauce. And my cup got put away. Okay. 1/2 cup of tomato sauce. You'll have the tomato sauce back on the supply table in a little bit. So you're just going to pour yourself a 1/2 cup. 1/2 cup of tomato sauce. And go ahead and put that right into your meat mixture. Okay, and then it calls for 1.5 teaspoons of mustard. So we're going to put 1.5 teaspoons of mustard. Teaspoon and a half. And you guys that are going back to the supply table to get these supplies, you could just set the mustard, rather than trying to dump it into a custard cup and then scrape it back out of the custard cup, just bring it on your tray like this and then dump it in. Okay, then we're just going to mix it all together and cook it for about 5 minutes on low. Okay, any questions?
No.
Okay, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give Kitchen 5 one serving of this, and then I'm going to come around to each of the other kitchens and give you each a little serving of this, so that you can taste it and compare it to compare the vegetable protein sloppy joes to the meat sloppy joes, so that you can taste it and compare. Yes.
Are we eating these in our cookies today or tomorrow?
No, today. We're going to be making your in just a few minutes. When we're finished here, in fact, you can go ahead and stop.